Titan Motorsports right here in Orlando. That is one place I will never go due to the fact that when I built the motor on this Camaro, I called them for dyno session and tuning, and they quoted me $1,100. No. I went to a place called Next Level Performance in Longwood, Florida, and they charged me $660. So I think that was a better deal. Here I'm at the junkyard again. Guess you can call me the Junkyard Junkie. Maybe I should change my name to that. Nah. Every time I go to look for taillights for these cars, they're always busted out or already taken. And if they're taken, that means they're probably in good shape. And that rear tire was shredded on that other side. That was pretty crazy. And then you got the door panels here for the manual windows. I would actually like to convert my car to manual windows, which people will probably think that's crazy, because the window motors go out on these things quite too often. This one's just a 98 V6. Looks like someone already took the transmission out. Here's another base 98. It's got a very light hood on it. I don't even know that's fiberglass. Some kind of plastic. Could be fiberglass. Yeah, looks like fiberglass composite. And I couldn't even tell you what kind of motor and tranny was in here. Looks like they might have used it for as a drag car. Like somebody totally ripped everything out of here. And I ended up taking that Berger panel off that's sitting there, but I was thinking about taking it, but I already have one on my car and trying to find a buyer if somebody wanted to buy that. It's getting a little hard these days, and these taillights were already gone, which tells me they might have been in good condition. Looks like this car got decimated. Like a bomb went off in here. Struts are probably out on this rear hatch since they got an axle holding it up. It's got the T-top holders. It's a V6. Let's see, what year is this? 2001. Someone tried messing with that steering column or took the airbag, I'm not sure. Alright, I'm going to be removing this shifter. The car's not going into gear. It did not start, so it must have broke when I parked it in here in the garage. Because I went to go start the car thinking that maybe the VAT system or something, the security system with the key went out. But a buddy of mine came over, we looked at the car, and found out that this shifted way too easily when it was just in the accessories position. So it was like indicating that maybe the plastic pieces that connect the wire, the shift cable, up underneath could possibly be broke under here and on the transmission gear selector itself. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this. Alright, to pull up this gear shifter, it was 4 10mm nuts holding it in place. The front nut here had this cable in the way. So to be able to remove that out, just pop this up off the assembly. Just a little clip. There's this wire harness that also plugs into the front, which is probably just for the lights. But either way, just take both those out and go to the parts store and see how they have the parts for this. Because I really don't want to have to lift the car up, drop the exhaust, take off the torque plate, which has like 36, 38 bolts or something like that in it. Which means I also have to elevate the car. And then there's brackets that hold that cable up as well. And I don't want to have to take those out either. Okay, so the parts store was open, so I ended up getting 2 packs of these. So the part number is 14041, and they're the let's see, pedal and shift linkage bushing kit, which that was broken inside on the shifter. So let's get back to the house and put these in, huh? All right, so we got 5 different clips here, and this was the O-ring that came off the bottom of that shifter, right in there. So looks like this third one right here is going to be the one that'll fit in here. So I'm just gonna take the shifter cable, I'm gonna install that right in there. All right, I got it in place. I used a pair of pliers that I have with rubber coating on it, or rubber pads rather, and I was able to clip it right in there. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this into there. Bad news, ladies and gentlemen. So I thought it was going to be a simple fix with that little bushing right there. $8 parts. Nope. Put it in. Fit perfectly. Real nice. But in there you can see that plastic piece is snapped. And that cable is bent. So the whole thing has to be replaced, which means I have to lift the car up, remove the torque plate, the exhaust, all of that that's in the way, to be able to remove that cable. It's not as simple as, I was thinking, okay, I could probably get the new cable, tie it up to that one and just pull it through underneath the car. But the thing is, this is actually mounted underneath the car. So it's bolted into place, which means you have to unbolt it. But to be able to do that, you have to remove the exhaust and that torque plate as well. So this is going to be a fun excursion. Instead of an $8 part, now I've got a $90 cable on the way. Alright, so I'm going to jack the car up. And I use a puck. I couldn't find my other puck, so I'm just going to have to use the Stanley Cup playoff puck from 2015, Tampa Bay Lightning. That's my team. Go ahead. You can rag them if you want. I'm not a Boston Bruins fan, though, I'll tell you that. So I'm going to lift up the car, and then we're going to get up under there. So I have to remove the exhaust, the center exhaust, along with the torque plate. So I got a jack stand on the back of the vehicle under that support beam. And then the same thing up front. So we're going to have to get up under here. Take this center exhaust mount out, that whole center exhaust piece. And underneath it, or above it rather, it's going to be that torque plate. See all those bolts running down? That metal sheet. So you're going to have to remove that whole thing. First thing I'm starting with are the O2 sensors. I'm using a 22mm wrench to take these out. And you see that the wires are crisscrossed. So the wire coming from the passenger side is going to mount to the driver's side of the exhaust and vice versa. Alright, so I got them out. Just be sure not to touch those tips with your bare hands. You don't want like any of your oils from your skin or anything getting on there that could possibly mess up readings. For the rear of the exhaust, for the center mount, it'll be two 15mm bolts on each side. Two there, and then two there, which I use a breaker bar to break those loose, just to be easy on it. Sometimes exhaust bolts, they can snap very easily, so you want to be careful with those. Alright, so you got that disconnected from the muffler. You can see the muffler will move around, so don't freak out if that comes down on you a little bit. There's two bolts and a gasket that came off of there. And I did the same thing on the other side. I'm going to have to do it on the front end. And usually the front end, those bolts, they can tend to snap. So when you take them off, just be very, very, very careful. Alright, so the pipe that goes into the exhaust manifold, that you can see that one's a little rusty there. So what I did was I was able to unloosen it. I don't recommend using any kind of impact on here. Just use wrenches and regular socket wrench, so you don't over torque these so they don't snap on you. So I was able to get that rusty one a little bit loose, and then I sprayed some PB blaster in there. That one looks like in good condition, and so is that one, but I'm going to loosen those up anyway and hit it with some PB blaster and let it just penetrate through, so that one won't have any issues with any of these bolts, because I do not want to have to replace them, even though that one looks like it could benefit from a replacement. Alright, after you remove the exhaust up front, where the catalytic converters go into the exhaust manifolds, do that on both sides. And then there's two 15mm bolts that hold the exhaust up in the front, so I'm using a jack stand on the front here. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the back, because there's also a couple bolts that hold up the exhaust in the rear. So I'm just going to end up removing all that to be able to drop this whole assembly. Alright, the exhaust is out, so just be careful, because those pipes that are hanging down will get in the way. There's two 13mm bolts here in the rear. And I've never seen this before. It's on some kind of spring setup with the nuts attached to it. I mean, it wasn't too hard to get out. It's just, I hope it's not a pain to put in. Shouldn't be too bad. So it's all down. Now I got to remove this torque plate. Okay, for this torque plate, 18 bolts each side. So we got a total of 36 here. What I'm going to do is, as I remove these, I'm going to leave this bolt, that bolt, and I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So it holds that torque plate up in place. So I'm just going to start from these bolts and just work my way down. And then just use a jack stand to hold that part up, or this part, whichever. So let's get that removed, all right? Torque plate is out. Exhaust is out. Let's take a look at another car. Up there is that linkage for the shifter. That's the shifter right here, which is still loose. This is the cable. We're just going to run back through onto the gear selector, which is right there with that nut hanging out. So I have to replace that. You can see the cable there. So I have to just wait for that new piece to come in, which it's going to be fun to do this, but it's all right. I just wanted to get this out the way, so I'm probably going to make this a two-part video. I'm going to go ahead and just edit this up. So this is what it looks like underneath the Corvette. Got that torque tube that goes all the way down, which has the pretty much the drive shaft in there that hooks up to the rear mounted transmission, which Chevy thought it would be a good idea to mount the transmission in the rear for better weight distribution, and they were right. So the car does handle a lot better than the C4s, so this car was like a major upgrade compared to the C4 Corvettes, or any Corvette before it. But that's it. So that's how you get to the torque tube. You got to remove that center exhaust, that torque plate, and you can get right down to it. And this is the mounting area right here for the front of that exhaust, and then we got these two springs over here that hang down. They pretty much got like the nuts welded on there, as you can see. So just gonna have to line that back up when we put everything back together. 3 bolts that are hanging down from the exhaust there. I'm just so happy that none of those broke. So take your time with those. Do not use impacts on those. You can use impacts on anything else. I use the impact to take out stuff like that. You know, these bolts that were in there, because those, they can rust, which I used a PB blaster, some penetrating fluid on there. You can see that's all rusted up pipes anyway. Not exactly great exhaust manifolds from factory. I mean, they're pretty decent, but these are really designed to hold in heat. And with the type of metal they're made out of, yeah, you see that rust. So I also got the 2 O2 sensors here. So remember that these crisscross. So the one that's hanging down on the passenger side is going to go into the driver's side of the pipe, and then vice versa. The one that's on the driver's side is going to go into the passenger side of the pipe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the car, because I don't want it being suspended up in the air like that the whole time. So just going to remove the jack stands, place it back down on the ground, keep all the bolts and everything where they are. Don't touch anything so I don't lose anything. If you're one of those type of organized people that looks like you're disorganized, you got everything in place, but you know, then that's you, because that's me. All right, this is Chemical Spore, out. Vroom, vroom, mother.